Now, without further ado, I would like to invite Jaakko Isotalo, the Fund and Dealflow Manager from Grid.vc on stage. There's Jaakko. Come on, Jaakko.
Yep.
And also, while I'm at it, could I get our investor jury seated? So Shaheer Hussam from Grid.vc, Haya Hanna from Xerys, and Georgina Fleming from Systemic. Please come here and take a seat.
All right, thank you, Nora, and good evening to all startups, investors, and corporates here today. I'm Jaakko from Grid.vc. We are a brand new Finnish venture capital firm. We're raising a fund right now to boosting the energy transition by accelerating and investing into early stage teams in this energy space. Together with our partners, Nord Pool, Fingrid Lahti Energia, and NIA, we organized this Smart Energy Innovation Challenge this spring together to find innovations that tackle this demand peak management challenge that we have in the electricity grids. We got 24 applications from 8 different countries. Today, top 10 have pitched here in Cleantech Venture Day, and the jury selected top 3 from that batch. And in a little while, we have a chance to hear the top 3 to pitch here for you. Later on, all the top 10 still have time to improve their idea. And then later on in the fall, the final winner of the challenge will be announced in Cleantech Venture Day, London in October. So we're very happy to hear the top pitches from today and exciting to see that how they developed during the next few months. But without further ado, please, Nora, let's get the party rolling.
Okay, awesome. Thank you, Jaakko. Well, let's invite our first smart energy company on stage. So please, DEPsys and John, come on stage.
Hello. Hello, everyone. So we are DEPsys, and our technology is called Grid.eye. And we work with the distribution system operators, which are the companies that basically own, manage, and operate the low voltage and medium voltage electricity networks that deliver electricity to your houses in order to make them more digital and more efficient in their quest to accommodate more and more of the new low-carbon technologies like electric vehicles, storage, and solar panels into their networks. So 2 important figures here. 5% is the amount of increase in electricity demand in Germany between 2001 and 2011. 27% was the amount that they had to increase the cables actually deployed in the low voltage part of the network in order to accommodate for that electricity increase in demand. So we see that this is a sector that doesn't really have data and doesn't really take efficient decisions. So when in doubt, without any insights, you tend to oversize. But this is not going to be sustainable in the future, especially in the world where you have more and more of solar panels, electric vehicles, storage space, startups that want to innovate and actually deploy their technologies at the edge of the grid, where the low voltage and medium voltage networks are. So what's going to happen when you reach actually full capacity in electric vehicles? At the moment, we're at below 1%, but we're going to soon, in 20, 25 years, reach 100% capacity, and all of that will have to be accommodated at that part of the grid, at the edge of the grid. So the way that we as consumers are also operating is changing, and that is a big challenge for the distribution networks. So now we have 2 main things that are changing the landscape. First, and most important, is the fact that we have to decarbonize our network. And so we need to reach more strict emission targets. And the second is that we actually have people embracing new technologies. So what we say is that we are going to put more data from the grid in order to fight oversizing and being less efficient. So intelligence versus cables. What you see here is basically a typical grid. You have, and you can see that the more you go towards the end customer, the more points you have to manage and consider and control. So you could make the resemblance between a tree and the grid. The trunk is basically the high voltage network, where it's very robust. It's been there for years, so no need to make a lot of changes there. But the more you get to the leaves, that's the distribution network, and you have less and less visibility. So one way, and a very important thing to know when you want to control all these new elements that are coming into the network is that you have to know a lot of things about the grid itself, the length of the cables, their physical properties, what we call the parameters and the topology of the grid. But that is actually not known by many operators today. So this is where our patent and technology comes into play. We have what we call the modelless control. So by installing the devices that you see here, the grid eye, with their own intelligence at the edge of the network, they can actually sense and map the network around them. So this means that you don't need a heavy centralized system in order to be able to have data and actually be able to connect and control all these new distributed energy resources, the electric vehicle charging stations, the storage and the batteries, and the solar panels that are coming more and more into the network. So for us, it's effectively local intelligence in order to solve local issues on the grid. So we are DEPsys. We're coming out of Switzerland. We are at the moment working with more than 25 DSOs in more than 6 countries. We're growing rapidly, and we're now in a stage where we're completing our pitch for the second round of financing. We're looking to raise 5 to 10 million. We were founded in 2012, quite rapid growth, more than 20 people working in the company as of now, and we're looking to double that growth and triple that growth in the next couple of years. So effectively, what we want to do is we're aiming to digitalize the network so that all the ecosystem together with us can digitalize energy. Thank you very much.
Okay, thanks a lot, John. Very interesting. Can we get comments and questions from our investor jury?
Thank you very much for that. It's very interesting. My first question is just around the amount that you're raising. 5 to 10 million seems like quite a range. And it'd be interesting to hear from you what that's going to be deployed towards.
Yeah, so it's actually 5 million is the basis. We're closing the pitch deck at the moment, so there is a potential for increasing more than 5 million because we're looking for a single investor at the moment, more of a financial investor. 70% of that will actually be used towards commercial deployments. So we're going more into marketing and sales and business development and moving into some new countries. And 30% of that will be used for R&D and more technical developments. The reason is that we've done a lot of work in actually coming out with a robust system. Networks in many places of the world are quite similar, and they face quite similar challenges. So for us, it's very important at this moment to scale and actually meet with DSOs also, not just inside Europe, but also outside Europe.
Thank you.
Thank you a lot for your presentation. My question is about data integration. Is your device able to integrate third-party data, or is it a standalone solution?
Yeah. So it's at the moment it's quite focused on utilizing the data that we get from the grid. This is the reason why. So actually, getting data from the grid at the moment is a challenge. You have a lot of smart meters around, but the smart meters are not actually providing a lot of real-time data. They could give you values every 15 minutes, but they actually usually give them to you every once per day in a batch of data. So we're definitely integrating values from third parties, and this is one of the things that we're going to implement now, smart meter data inside our system to better manage some of our applications. But we also make sure that we get a very large part of the data that we would need from our own devices.
Thank you.
Yeah, just a quick question. Congrats on your impressive progress so far. So I've been trying to understand who your ideal customer is, and part of that is, let's say a DSO is not trying to do anything super complex or fancy, so no EV strategy, not yet, no DG strategy. What can you still offer them? How can you still bring them value? Because in theory, that might be a large, the largest segment right now.
Exactly. So it is the largest and basically the only segment for us. So we work exclusively with the distribution system operators. Of course, the world is not flooded with solar panels or storage or electric vehicles. A lot of them are being reactive, so they have some issues in some parts of the network, and this is where we're good at. We don't need to install a massive, let's say, infrastructure across the distributor's infrastructure. We can start with a few devices. We have an IoT type of platform, so our system works even with few devices and can scale to thousands. Some are being proactive, so they would like to actually understand what are the challenges coming in, so this is why they choose us. To get some real insights from the network about and understand how they will have to manage with the DR that's coming in. But what we have done is we have started to operate as a system that provides applications for the daily management of the operations of the DSOs. So one big part of our business at the moment is being, let's say, an operational system for the DSO with the data that we gather from the grid. So we don't necessarily need all these clean tech technologies being in the network, because we're already providing a very big value in terms of asset management, power quality, monitoring, analytics, from the data that is something that they need for the day-to-day operations, even without the DER.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, jury. Thank you, John and DEPsys.
Thank you.
Next, I would like to invite Virta and Jussi on stage.
Hello. My name is Jussi Palola from Virta. We are an EV charging company, and our mission is to introduce EVs in the people's everyday life and to energy system. We provide services for professional energy companies, operators, which are providing EV services in the market. We are operating in 15 countries. 50 energy companies use our services in order to daily provide the services for the end users. The specialty, what I would like to introduce you today, is the energy system, which is based on the fact that there will be huge amount of electric vehicles in the future. International Energy Agency evaluates that we have more than 100 million EVs 2030. And the second one is that most of the storage capacity will be on EVs. And if we look at the demand side management, there's many different layers that require tools to manage the topic in different grid layers and market layers. Our solution in this topic is that we have introduced now 3 market-ready products. One is the spot price optimized charging for end user, meaning that the real benefit, monetary benefit for end users to connect their EVs with the intelligent charger, with optimize the charging profile according to energy price. And the energy price can be different on different countries. Second one is the professional market model, for example, integration to energy utility trading system. and introducing the energy companies' charging networks and their customer fleets as aggregated power to the network. And the third one is the grid model, balancing the load locally and already to national level frequency containment reserves. We are operating in 15 countries. 6, we have a relevantly, I would say, one of the leader position. And if we check about our target is to grow faster than the market. We have been succeeding so far. And the second one, we want to be the leader in the Europe within 2 years. And we have a really circumstantial evidence that we'll be the one. Economically, we have been growing fast. We have 61 persons working in the company and different branches of the company in Europe established. And if I would point out one very essential part on the key highlights of our company is that beside the technical knowledge and success of rollouting a commercial solution, I think that field experience leadership really essential. Technical expertise is really essential. It's like a driving license to the market, but it is only related to the leadership topic and capabilities to introduce this globally. And we have been substantially growing in 3 years and now are looking new partners. Now it's the time to build the EV business. The companies which get later on the market will be paying higher price. So now it's the time, whether it be investor, energy company, please join the cooperation with Virta. We are looking forward to a cooperation. So thanks a lot.
Okay, awesome. Thank you, Virta and Jussi. I'm convinced, but how about our investor jury?
Yeah, thanks for the presentation. I think this is a really exciting space to be in. And I just have a question about your competition and how you see yourself compared to other companies out there like the Mobility House, like Greenflux. The space is getting crowded in by OEMs and by fleet managers eventually, by other software managers. And it'd be very interesting to hear from you what you feel makes your company stand out compared to these other companies.
It's related to the future. Many of the companies you really pointed out, we are in the same domain. We are a little bit in the early stage in the market. And the topic, the answer where we are going is the future, how we see the future and the key benefits there. Our speciality has been from the beginning that we have understood that the EVs is a remarkable resource to energy networks. And also the end user needs to be engaged in the process. Second one is that we have from the beginning understood that this is not game of single brand. We have been investing from the beginning millions to be able to roll out different brands very fast pace. And lining those companies, we can show that we are fastest one creating this service line for energy companies anywhere in the world. And we have done that and expanded quite fast in the domain.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you for your presentation. I'm really impressed with your progress and great ambition. You've started a bit answering my question, but I'd really like to know your sales strategy to reach your financial projections.
It is related to getting the touch point with the least energy which have the maximum impact. And that would go through the biggest energy utility companies, biggest energy vendors, biggest automotive industry players. So we have designed our technology to be aligned with the bigger entity. We don't see that this game will be grasped by one new player, which is purely digital. But we have heavily pushed our resources that we are we can serve the big value chain of energy and automotive. And we are now finalizing one really substantial deal in the domain and will be one of the leading companies already in this year.
Thank you.
Thanks. I think you guys are a really good example of local energy tech innovation. So I think I'm always trying to understand the game of risk, or maybe it's the game of monopoly for electric vehicles here. And one way to try and understand that, and maybe this is sensitive for you, is how you think through an exit for you as a firm. So if you think through the most logical acquisitions for a firm like Virta, what are the scenarios that have come to mind or that you envision down the road?
The game will be entering in the next stage in the coming years, and that stage is capital investor stage. Mm-hmm. I mean that the expansion reached certain limit by partnershiping with the energy utilities and automotive industry. But I would claim that the one who are able to leverage the evolution with the capital investors will win the game. And why I see this is that there's quite a national interest in the energy. And there will be no one single player that I serve them all. But there will be this kind of different kind of tribes in the market. And the tribes will be emerging in certain logic, which is driven by capital investment. So, and that will start, I would say, within some years. And there's early signs already in the market. But now, if you look about who is buying the companies, Shell buys share of the New Motion, and the industry player are taking their hold in the market. But I claim that the capital investor wise money can make really this kind of a domino effect.
Okay.
Okay, great. Thank you, investor jury, and thank you, Virta. Now, last but not least, I'd like to invite on stage our third smart energy company, Zero Hertz Systems and Terra.
Thank you, Nora. Good late afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Hope you can bear with me a few moments. My name is Tero Kaipi. I'm Managing Director of Zero Hertz System, a real startup company founded April 2017, so we are about a year-old company. And I'm going to tell you how we are helping in taking the public electricity distribution back to the future by returning to its roots. So we have already heard, and everyone of us knows, how the disruptive technologies in energy system are causing the system transition and the revolution in the system. But what is important too is the societal changes. The society at the same time is changing. Urbanization, increase of the customer and societal expectations towards, for example, supply security of the power system, as well as the statutory requirements for distribution business and also for, well, very much for the supply security today and energy efficiency. These reasons are causing a massive need of investments in the transmission and distribution systems. And that's why especially the distribution network operators, that is our field, they are looking for new solutions, how to take their network to the next century, how to renew it and modernize the network so that it would meet the current requirements. What is important is not only that the network gets redone, it's also important that the technology that we use in the network, it meets the requirements of the other stakeholders in the power system. For example, what is important that the network technology itself, it creates a platform that enables market-driven utilization of demand flexibility, for example, for balance management of the transmission system. And on the other end, there are the customers, each and every one of us, who are expecting to have low cost and clean electricity and keep on using that. But what is the common denominator for all of these investments is, of course, the cost efficiency. And we are focusing on the distribution networks. Why? Because based on, for example, European Commission investment forecasts, 75% of all those grid investments are going to focus on the distribution networks. What it means today is that in Finland there is 700 million euros per year spent for renewal of the distribution networks. And worldwide, the same figure, according to the IEA, is about 300 billion euros. So there's a huge market, and much of that money is actually going to the renewal of the rural systems. Because the network is long, there's lots to do. And this is also related to the change where the rural areas are depopulating, but the people are still living there. You need the networks there. These networks are also quite often fault-prone, causing lots of problems and costs for the companies. Our solution is to focus on the tail end of the network and replace that tail end of the network with the smart low-voltage DC distribution system, where we replace part of the medium voltage network and all the low voltage networks with our DC system. That provides more transmission capacity, it improves supply security, it allows us to provide superior voltage quality in all cases for the end users, and we can still also offer support for power system regardless of the existing of DER there. We make these converters for this system, that's our main product here. And what it brings to the DSO is 5 to 30% savings in the life cycle cost, and that's the driving factor there. And then we can add there easily, for example, what we offer is this cloud-based management system for condition monitoring, for example. You can easily add there batteries about 20 to 30% cheaper than in the respective AC network. And what it makes it then an off-grid system, and with some local generation, it can really become a self-balancing microgrid, solving also lots of the DSO problems. Our market area globally looks like this. Our main market where we want to focus is the North America because of its size. Of course, the Scandinavia, Nordics are important for us. If we look the figures, it's 500 to 700 million euros globally, and in the Finnish markets, the same figures are about 40 to 50 million euros potential per year. And if we go further to Scandinavia, it's little over double the Finnish markets, and then to the Northern America, which is basically a biggest market that we can see up to 300 million euros per year. Our products are the optimized converters, the software solutions for the management, and then we offer support and expert services for example, design of these systems to the DSOs. What we do at the moment, we sell turnkey deliveries to the DSO. That's how we get the business going, but we don't want to do that forever, so we want to transit through the installation deliveries of our converters and software towards pure equipment and software business. Competition, there isn't so much competition yet in the DC field, so we are competing against the AC solutions at the moment. But the competition is going to intensify. There are big companies, big energy companies who are developing their own solutions at the moment. So where we want to be in the next 3 years, we want to be the leading provider of DC systems in the Nordic markets, and within 5 years we want to be a very big provider also in the global markets. And we are seeking at the moment that 1 to 2 million euros first round financing for our company to get the growth going on, get the internationalization of our business going on, and of course for IP protection and everything like that. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Tero. This is the third time I've heard the pitch in 2 days, and it just keeps getting better. So, comments from the jury.
Thank you very much. I have a ton of questions, but I'll limit it to one question and one just clarification that I wanted to get. The clarification is on the market size, the 40 to 50 million market size here. Is that the total market size, or is that what you feel you can capture?
That's our estimate of the total market size.
Okay, all right, thank you. And my question is, I was hoping that you could walk us through one of the projects that you've worked with one of your customers. I'm particularly interested in kind of who approached who, what was the sales lead time, what convinced them to work with a startup, and any major learnings. And you can pick and choose which one of those you want to answer.
Well, first I think that if I start to answer kind of in the reverse order to your question, we have a long research background of our 7-person team in our company. We have been developing this system as a university research team at Lappeenranta since 2005. And during that research, we have become very familiar with the companies, the DNOs in Finland and in Scandinavia. So last year, or actually already a year before that, when we started to think that it's time to industrialize this solution, almost first thing that we did was that we went to visit the companies. Okay, the companies already knew us, they knew what we are going to do, because during the research we already did kind of a prototype installation as a university team. So they knew what we were talking about, and we went there and started to offer that this is our industrialized solution that is actually much more advanced to that one that we did during the research, and that, I think, built the trust, and that's the important thing, the trust between us and the DNOs with who we are currently piloting our technology.
All right, thank you very much.
I just have a question about network development. So it's a great market, you have huge potential, but what do you think will be the most important factor that will enable the development of your network?
Well, in the market-wise, I think that it's basically the question of how well we succeed in our sales. It's building the trust, and especially in the internationalization, and because we want to go to the American markets, we need to find the correct strategy, find the correct partners to do it with. In the Nordic markets, to us it's a home market, so it's kind of a clear, but going outside the Nordic market where actually the business is. So there where we need a correct strategy and partners. So I say that strategy and partners.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, as Nora said, we've seen it a few times, and we've been impressed with the creativity and level of detail you've had in your deck. So I want to understand, I mean, if you really think big, you say you want to enter into North America and excel there, what are the first 3 milestones you imagine, your ideal goals? That's one part. And the other, I'm still a bit confused. You want to start out and enter the market as a turnkey provider, but then you want to go under the equipment sales side. Do you think you would actually benefit by keeping a turnkey solution, being able to define it, or just as a company idea, you want to stick with the equipment?
Well, I believe that for a long time, probably next 5-10 years even, the turnkey solutions and providing turnkey solutions will stay in a prominent role. So it's going to be an important part, especially because also the DNOs, they are outsourcing more and more at the moment. So they are actually wanting to buy a turnkey network construction. So in a way, it's natural to keep that turnkey there, but we don't want to stay as a project firm forever. And that's also where the partner network becomes important, so that maybe we can outsource part of that to some very good partner and focus that what actually brings our revenue, which is our optimized converter products and our optimized software.
Okay, thank you, investor jury, and thank you, Tero.
Thank you.